You've probably been told that Harley Davidson builds the most reliable motorcycles in America. But what if I told you that some of the most celebrated Harleys in history are actually mechanical disasters that destroyed their owners' finances? Motorcycles with legendary reputations, but catastrophic engineering that'll leave you bankrupt. In this video, we're revealing the 11 most hated Harley-Davidson motorcycles of all time, ranked by documented failures and owner horror stories. And trust me, the bikes that made this list will blow your mind. From engines that destroy themselves without warning, to bikes so poorly built they earned the nickname Harley Davidson, reliability has been Harley's biggest weakness for decades. And here's the kicker. The #1 most hated Harley combined mechanical incompetence with cultural controversy so toxic it nearly killed the entire brand. Watch every second of this countdown, because this isn't just motorcycle history, it's the difference between making a smart purchase and becoming another victim of Harley's worst engineering disasters. Ignore this, and you'll join the thousands of riders who learned these lessons the expensive way. Number 11, CVO lineup all years. Starting our countdown with Harley-Davidson's most expensive mistake, the custom vehicle operations line. These motorcycles are positioned as the absolute pinnacle of Harley luxury and performance, with price tags starting at over $45,000 for what the company markets as the ultimate riding experience. The CVO line isn't hated for mechanical failures. It's despised for representing everything wrong with modern Harley's business model. Critics consistently argue that the CVO designation is primarily a marketing exercise that sells a boutique image rather than delivering genuine performance value for the astronomical price. Detailed analysis of aftermarket parts reveals that consumers could build similarly performing custom bikes for significantly less than a CVO's MSRP. The math is brutal. You're paying a massive premium for factory assembly and limited edition badges that don't translate to proportional performance improvements. The perception among serious riders is that CVOs aren't meant to be ridden, but are instead expensive showpieces for collectors who will store them away to be sold at auction later. This contradicts the fundamental Harley ethos of personalization and actual riding that built the brand's reputation. The CVO critique represents a modern form of consumer resentment where internet-savvy buyers can easily compare specifications and prices, exposing poor value propositions that a century-old brand premium can no longer justify automatically. When you're charging luxury car prices for motorcycle performance, the value equation becomes impossible to defend. Number 10, 2009 to 2012 touring models. These specific model years of Harley's popular touring lineup created a profound sense of betrayal among the brand's most loyal customers. These weren't budget bikes. They were expensive, premium motorcycles that riders trusted for long-distance adventures and daily transportation. The period was marked by catastrophic recalls affecting over 250,000 motorcycles due to rear brake switches that could overheat and lead to complete brake failure. Owners reported almost complete loss of rear braking effectiveness, creating genuinely dangerous riding conditions that put lives at risk. Additionally, Harley introduced a new C-lifter design in many of these models that proved to have an exceptionally high failure rate. When these lifters failed, they caused major engine problems that often required complete motor rebuilds, repairs that could cost more than the bike's remaining value. These weren't isolated manufacturing defects, but widespread systemic problems affecting entire production runs. The combination of safety-critical brake failures and expensive engine problems on premium touring bikes created a crisis of confidence that reverberated throughout the Harley community. The touring models were supposed to represent Harley's most refined, reliable, and trustworthy motorcycles. When they failed so spectacularly and expensively, it reinforced every negative stereotype about Harley reliability while betraying customers who had invested significant money in what they believed were the brand's best products. Number 9. Twin Cam 88, 1999 to 2006. The Twin Cam 88 engine was introduced in 1999 as the next major evolution of Harley's big twin power plant. Instead of advancement, early model years became synonymous with one of the most devastating and preventable engineering failures in motorcycle history. The catastrophic flaw centered on plastic cam chain tensioners that were prone to premature wear. As these tensioners deteriorated, plastic shavings would enter the oil pump system, leading to sudden, complete engine failure without any warning signs that riders could recognize. The financial impact was brutal. Replacing a destroyed motor could cost over $4,500, transforming a preventable design flaw into an economically ruinous disaster for unsuspecting owners. Many riders discovered their engines were destroyed only when they seized completely during normal operation. This era also suffered from widespread oil leaks from gaskets and excessive crankshaft runout that caused severe vibration and accelerated component wear. The combination of these issues created engines that were fundamentally unreliable despite their modern design and premium pricing. The twin-cam 88 problems reinforced every negative perception about Harley reliability, while demonstrating that even the company's newest engineering could suffer from basic design failures. A single poor component choice tarnished an entire generation of engines and proved that Harley still struggled with fundamental quality control decades after the notorious AMF era. Number 8. Early Pan America models, 2021 to 2022. The Pan America represented Harley Davidson's ambitious entry into the lucrative adventure touring market, dominated by European manufacturers. Unfortunately, early production models were plagued by systematic reliability issues that immediately destroyed the bike's credibility in a competitive segment where dependability is paramount. Reports became widespread about sudden power loss during riding, unexpected stalling during gear shifts, and unpredictable throttle response that made the bikes genuinely dangerous to operate. Motorcycle forums and social media platforms filled with horror stories from owners experiencing these frightening malfunctions. The innovative adaptive ride height system, marketed as a key technological advantage over competitors, proved to be chronically unreliable. The system frequently malfunctioned in cold weather conditions or failed to engage altogether, leaving riders with a broken feature they had specifically paid extra to obtain. Additional documented problems included fuel pump failures, widespread electrical glitches, and burnt radiator hoses that suggested fundamental cooling system design problems. Many owners reported multiple dealer visits within weeks of purchase to address various system failures. The Pan America's early failures highlighted the immense challenge heritage brands face when entering new markets. The pre-existing reputation for unreliability meant that normal first-generation teething problems were magnified and interpreted as confirmation of long-held beliefs about Harley's engineering competence. Number 7. Sportster 883 all years. The Sportster 883 occupies a unique position as a motorcycle hated by multiple constituencies for completely different reasons, creating a perfect storm of criticism that has made it one of the most maligned bikes in Harley's entire lineup and a source of ongoing controversy within the motorcycle community. Within the Harley Davidson community itself, the 883 is often dismissively referred to as a girl's bike or starter bike, creating a toxic cultural stigma that undermines the ownership experience and drives away potential riders. This internal brand gatekeeping creates artificial hierarchy within the Harley community that contradicts the inclusive spirit the brand claims to represent. From the perspective of objective motorcycle evaluation in comparison with competitors, the Sportster 883 represents genuinely poor value in almost every measurable category. Critics consistently point out that it's heavy, slow, and expensive while using outdated technology that doesn't justify its premium pricing compared to modern alternatives from other manufacturers. One particularly damning and frequently cited assessment noted it as the best way to spend a bunch of money and only get 41 horsepower in a 575-pound bike. When comparable motorcycles from Japanese and European manufacturers offer significantly more power, better technology, and superior build quality for less money, the 883's value proposition becomes impossible to defend objectively. The bike's performance limitations become especially apparent to owners who attempt highway riding or try to keep up with more powerful motorcycles. The underpowered engine struggles with freeway speeds and provides inadequate passing power, creating safety concerns and rider frustration during normal riding situations. The Sportster 883 suffers from a fatal identity crisis that leaves it commercially stranded. It's not considered a real Harley by many brand loyalists who view it as a compromise or stepping stone. Yet it fails to offer the performance and value that would attract objective riders from other manufacturers who prioritize capability over brand prestige. Number 6. Fat Boy All Years. Immortalized by Terminator 2, the Fat Boy became an icon of muscular American motorcycle design. However, the very aesthetic features that created its cinematic fame also generated its most significant functional problems that make it genuinely difficult to ride and enjoy. The Fat Boy's massive 240mm wide, low-profile rear tire creates a motorcycle that constantly fights against the rider's inputs. The flat tire profile requires significant physical effort to countersteer and maintain cornering lines, making every ride feel like an upper body workout rather than recreational transportation. Motorcycle reviewers have consistently noted that riding a Fat Boy feels like an arms session at the gym and demands riders have arms like Arnold Schwarzenegger to keep it on the straight and narrow. This isn't hyperbole. The bike genuinely requires substantial physical strength to operate safely. The combination of stiff suspension and low-profile tires results in a harsh, unforgiving ride quality. The bike struggles to absorb road imperfections, transmitting every bump and crack directly through the rider's body. Long-distance riding becomes an endurance test rather than an enjoyable experience. The Fat Boy represents a classic example of form-over-function design philosophy taken to an extreme. The aesthetic choices that make it visually striking directly compromise its usability, creating a motorcycle that looks impressive but feels punishing to actually ride. This disconnect between cinematic image and riding reality has left many owners disappointed when they discover that their Hollywood-inspired purchase requires genuine physical demands that most recreational riders aren't prepared to handle. If you're finding these mechanical disasters as shocking as I hoped, make sure you're subscribed because we're about to reveal some AMF-era Harleys that were so catastrophically flawed they nearly destroyed the entire company. Number 5. Livewire All Years. The Livewire represented Harley Davidson's ambitious but ultimately disastrous attempt to enter the electric motorcycle market. As the brand's first fully electric model, it was supposed to attract a new generation of environmentally conscious urban riders while demonstrating Harley's technological innovation. The fundamental problem was a catastrophic market miscalculation that satisfied neither target audience. The initial Livewire was priced far too high for the young, urban demographic it was designed to attract, creating an insurmountable barrier to adoption among budget-conscious riders who might have embraced electric technology. More critically, the Livewire failed completely to connect with Harley Davidson's traditional customer base. These riders, who specifically want the roar of gasoline engines and motorcycles with mechanical soul, saw the silent electric machine as the antithesis of everything the brand represented. The commercial performance was catastrophic, with sales numbers so disappointing that Harley wrote off hundreds of millions in development costs. The motorcycle failed to satisfy traditional Harley buyers who rejected its fundamental concept and electric vehicle enthusiasts who found better alternatives from specialized manufacturers. The Livewire's failure highlighted the painful reality that Harley's brand identity is so strongly tied to its combustion engine heritage that attempts at radical innovation may be doomed regardless of their technical merit. The silent operation that should have been a selling point became a deal-breaker for customers who specifically sought the traditional Harley experience. This represents a modern tragedy of corporate strategy where technological capability couldn't overcome cultural resistance, creating an expensive lesson about the limitations of brand extension into incompatible market segments. Number 4. V-Rod All Years. When the V-Rod debuted in 2001, it represented Harley Davidson's most radical technological leap in decades. Developed in collaboration with Porsche, its liquid-cooled dual overhead cam engine produced performance figures that were unprecedented for a production Harley, seemingly positioning the brand to compete with modern sport bikes. However, this technological advancement became the source of its ultimate rejection by Harley's core customer base. The high-revving engine and modern drag bike styling were perceived as a direct betrayal of traditional Harley values that emphasized the classic appearance and distinctive low RPM potato-potato sound of air-cooled pushrod V-twins. The cultural rejection was overwhelming and immediate. Traditional Harley riders dismissed it as ugly and not a real Harley, while the motorcycle failed to attract sport bike riders who found superior performance and value from established manufacturers. This left the V-Rod in a commercial no-man's land. Maintenance challenges compounded the cultural problems. Parts became increasingly difficult to source and expensive to replace, particularly for transmission and valve train components. This created ongoing ownership costs that were disproportionate to the bike's utility and resale value. The V-Rod's failure demonstrated that Harley-Davidson's most valuable asset is its cultural brand identity, and any product that deviates too dramatically from that identity faces rejection, regardless of its objective technical merits. Superior engineering couldn't overcome cultural incompatibility. The motorcycle became a cautionary tale about the dangers of innovation that ignores brand heritage, proving that technological advancement without cultural sensitivity can create products that satisfy no constituency effectively. Number 3, 1973 Baja 100. The Baja 100 represents perhaps the most bizarre and misguided product in Harley-Davidson's history, an attempt to enter the small displacement, two-stroke dirt bike market through collaboration with its Italian Ermacchi subsidiary. This venture was a complete failure of both market understanding and functional design. The motorcycle was fundamentally unsuited for its intended purpose. The 98 cubic centimeter two-stroke engine was significantly underpowered for serious off-road riding, while the suspension offered minimal shock absorption that left riders feeling every bump and impact during trail riding. The bike earned the infamous description as a dirt bike that didn't like dirt, perfectly capturing its complete failure to execute its basic concept. Essential off-road features like skid plates to protect the engine were absent, while the requirement for manual pre-mix fuel preparation added unnecessary complexity for recreational riders. The overall design was universally criticized as uninspired and lacking the aesthetic appeal expected from any motorcycle wearing Harley-Davidson badges. Many riders felt it appeared more suitable as garage decoration than as functional transportation for any environment. The Baja 100 became a symbol of corporate desperation, where the company attempted to slap its prestigious brand identity onto products that had no legitimate connection to Harley's core competencies or heritage. It represented a fundamental misunderstanding of what made the brand valuable. This failure served as a harsh lesson that legendary brands cannot simply extend into unfamiliar territory without understanding the specific requirements and expectations of new market segments. Number 2, 1981 Sturgis. The 1981 Sturgis should have represented a technological breakthrough for Harley-Davidson. Named after the legendary motorcycle rally and featuring the company's first production belt-driven rear wheel, it promised to move the brand toward modern innovation while maintaining its traditional character. Instead, the Sturgis became a mechanical disaster that perfectly embodied the quality control problems of the AMF era. The innovative belt drive system, which should have been the bike's defining feature, proved to be chronically unreliable, with early systems snapping or wearing down rapidly, stranding riders far from assistance. The underlying motorcycle suffered from all the notorious problems of AMF-era production. The 80 cubic inch shovel head engine was infamous for persistent oil leaks, chronic overheating issues, and violent vibrations that could literally shake components loose during normal operation. Riders reported constant stalling problems even after professional tuning attempts, making the bike fundamentally unreliable for basic transportation. The combination of an experimental drive system and a proven problematic engine created a motorcycle that was untrustworthy in every critical system. The Sturgis represents a bitter lesson about how good innovation can be completely undermined by poor execution and inadequate quality control. It demonstrated that technological advancement means nothing when basic manufacturing competence is absent. The bike became a symbol of squandered potential, where a genuinely forward-thinking concept was destroyed by the systematic quality problems that defined Harley's darkest corporate period. Number 1, 1977 Confederate Edition. The 1977 Confederate Edition stands as the ultimate failure in Harley-Davidson's history, representing a catastrophic combination of cultural insensitivity and mechanical incompetence that created the most hated motorcycle the company ever produced. This limited edition model featured metallic gray paint with Confederate flag decals applied to the fuel tank, creating a culturally offensive design choice that sparked civil rights complaints and forced the company to cease production. The branding decision demonstrated a corporate tone deafness that was shocking even for the 1970s. Beyond its problematic imagery, the Confederate Edition was a mechanical nightmare built on the fundamentally flawed AMF-era platform. Underneath the controversial paint scheme was a standard motorcycle powered by the notoriously unreliable 1,200 cubic centimeter shovelhead engine that suffered from chronic problems. Owners faced the era's complete catalog of mechanical failures, including endless oil leaks that stained everything, persistent overheating that left riders stranded, and frequent breakdowns that made the bikes fundamentally unreliable for any serious use. The Confederate Edition remains the definitive example of how not to honor motorcycle heritage while serving as a permanent reminder of corporate decision-making at its absolute worst. Speaking of Harley redemption stories, you need to see my breakdown of the 15 most reliable Harley Davidson motorcycles of all time. These bikes prove the company did eventually learn from these catastrophic mistakes.